Alright guys, today we're going to add mementos to our stories. And mementos are always nice to add if you want to give the player a hint to what on something you want to do, or just remind them on something they need to do later. Although they are quite simple to add, it is a very effective thing to do. So if you don't know what a memento is, it's like whenever there's a little journal icon in the bottom right corner of your screen, you write yourself a little note. That's a memento. Yeah, so I guess we could just get started. I'm just gonna say a few things that if you're using a Windows computer, you can still use this tutorial even if it's done on a Mac, because it's done the exact same way. And also, if you are missing any of the files that I have right here, you can download them in my description, just if you're missing anything and you can't find it and whatnot, whatever. Anyways, let's just get started, and I'm gonna open the level editor just to demonstrate how I'm going to do this. I'm going to open level 1, the map. It's just a random map that I have, level that I have right here. It looks like this, and it's just a simple bedroom. And I'm going to add 3 mementos in this video, different ways. I'm going to add one whenever you touch this door. I'm going to add one whenever you pick up the lantern that I have over here, and I'm going to add one whenever you enter an area that I'm going to place here. So it's going to be a bit variety to choose from if you just need to figure out some of these more basic things. But yeah. But before I'm going to add anything in the level, I'm going to open the extra English, lang file that I have right here, the text file that contains all the text in the story. I'm going to add the mementos, what they're actually saying, because this is where they're somewhat, like, this is where they're written and then they're added in the scripts later. Just make sure that you are in the category called journal. Just make sure that if you, well, this is my file, you can download it if you like. I have arranged things so it's a little easier to see where things are. But if you do not have these notes and this file looks a little messy to you, then just make sure that it's within the journal category, between wherever it says journal name, category name, journal, and / category. So everything that is in between that is part of the journal category, and the mementos need to be in the journal category to be able to work. And this is where I have a memento. This is pretty much what you get right. It's an entry name that has a specific prefix and suffix in the actual name. I don't know, let's just take it slowly, I guess, and just look at it. What you gotta write in between this, I guess you could just copy it from mine, but I can't actually put these diamond brackets in the YouTube description because that doesn't work, so I can't really paste it directly there without having to remove them. But anyways, what you need to write, I'm just gonna make a new one. You open and closing diamond brackets, entry name equals double quotes. It needs to be quest underscore, and then you can write whatever you want. So I'm just gonna write pick up lantern. You could capitalize it. I just, for whatever reason, I don't do that. I don't know. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's whatever. You can capitalize it if you like. That's not really important. And then you do underscore text. So as long as it starts with quest underscore here and it ends with underscore text, then it will be defined as a memento. And then outside the quotes again, well, actually outside the whole block, this is where you write the actual text that's going to appear in the game. Let's do this is the pick up lantern. Let's just write something simple. I picked up the lantern, and then you do open and closing diamond brackets again and do /entry. And so if you have /entry and entry name equals this, whatever text is between is going to appear in the game if done correctly. So I picked up the lantern, this is going to appear whenever we pick up the lantern, but we need to script that to happen, of course. But this is the text that's going to appear. And now I'm just going to copy the line and paste it twice, and I'm going to take this between here and rename it to another name of the memento, internal name that is. Let's see, enter area, and this last one is going to be let's see, touch door. So, and then I'm gonna replace this text with I don't know, I entered the area. Not very creative, but okay. And then this other door, I'm gonna do a little bit more realistic on this door, I guess. The door requires a key. The door requires a key, yeah. So I'm also going to make so that if you touch the door before unlocking it with this key, then it will appear, but if you unlock it before, it will not appear. So yeah, if you're wondering how to make the key unlock the door, I already have a video on it which is done in the same level, so hopefully that won't throw you off too much. Anyways, now we have made these three, so I'm just gonna save this file, and we probably don't need to do anything more with it for Mementos right now. Just remember the names of it and all that stuff. So now I'm going to add a few things to the level. Let's start with the lantern. I have it right here. I'm going to click on it and go on entity, and here are a few things that you can do. Player interact, I'm not sure, I guess this one could work. I haven't actually tried it. Since you pick up the item, I'm not sure if that's counted as an interaction. But anyways, under the callback function right here, this one is called for a number of events, different events, one of them being on pickup. So whenever you write inside here is going to be run in the script whenever you pick up the lantern, or whenever it's broken or ignited, but that can't really happen to this entity. So pick up. So I'm just gonna write pick up lantern, and remember to press enter. And now pick up lantern. That's the name of the script that's gonna be run whenever we pick up the lantern. And I guess we could just open up the script file for it right now. level1.hps. I already have some script in here. I'm gonna remove that note. Already have some script in here. This is for the key, so I'm just gonna ignore that and jump a little further down. Do void pick up lantern, and then it will need some parameters that are if you hover over it, it should say what parameters there are. String in entity name, string in type. But I have experienced this being somewhat inaccurate, so I prefer going to the actual engine scripts website, where you can find the same function. So if I were to command or control F to look up the callback function, set entity callback function, this one, it does the exact same as this little thing right here, except this one is just written directly into the editor, and this one could be placed in the code. So this one is a little more flexible, but this one is a little easier. Anyways, if these are the same function, so there's also the same, there are the same parameters, so you can just copy them from here if you'd like. And in this case, as it says right here, it says string in entity name, string in type, and here it says string in as entity, string in type. So I don't know if those actually matters too much. I haven't messed around that much with it, but anyways, you can copy it from here if you like, which I am going to do, and then I'm going to paste it right at the end of pickup lantern so that it looks like that. And then I'm going to open and close the block, and inside here we're going to add the quest. So you search up the function called add quest. This is the function that Yeah, it's obvious, isn't it? This adds the quest to the game. So we're going to put it inside this function so that whenever we pick up the lantern, the quest is going to be added. There are two string parameters in here that we need to define. The first one being name of the internal quest. So this one, in this case, you want to give it a name because you likely want to remove the memento once you have completed it or whatever it referred to. So I'm just going to call it lantern. I don't know, it doesn't matter what you call it, just make sure it's well, actually, I guess there's nothing to make sure of as long as you don't use special characters, but if you know scripting, you should know what to and what not to do. Just name it whatever, and although I recommend naming it something that is easy to know. And then there's the other name and text entry, and here it also says entry in the lang file that we had opened earlier must start with quest underscore text here underscore text and be in the category journal, which is what we already did. So if I open up that file again, right here, we go down to where we wrote them. They are name quest underscore text, and they are in the category name journal. So yeah, that should be fine, and that means we just need to put whatever was inside here, if you understand it. So this is the entry. It doesn't need to put the quest underscore whatever. You don't need to put the whole thing, but you just need to put the actual text here, as it says right here, or whatever you named it in the lang file, which in my case I named it pick up lantern. So just copy that, paste it in there, and there you go. Now this quest has been added in the game, and that's actually how simple it is. But let's add a few other ones. Alright, so for this one I'm just going to quickly make an area here. So I'm going to go on script area, make sure it's a script area, and I'm just going to drag one out right here like that. So whenever we enter this specific area right here, we're going to get another memento. So I'm just going to click on it afterwards and give it a name, and let's call it area memento. Press enter, and yeah, so you can interact and call back, but these I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but okay, so usually you can use these as shortcuts for scripting, but in this case it doesn't actually work for collision. So you're gonna have to use a function on this site here called add entity collide callback, yeah, or set entity collide, set entity callback function. No, god damn it, what am I searching? Collide, just search for collide, why not? Alright, add entity collide callback, go away. Add entity collide callback. This is the function that is going to add a check for whenever the player, or any other entity, but in this case the player, is colliding with an entity which is going to be the area. So whenever you collide with the area, you're going to get the memento. So I'm just going to go on void start, or void on start. I already have this one, but just ignore that, that's for the key. So I'm just going to add this below it, add entity collide callback. The string as the parent name, this is entity number 1. So if you write player, that is going to count as you, and then string as child, which is entity 2, is going to be whatever you collide with. So area memento, like that. So just make sure that area memento matches the name of the area in the editor, or whatever, if you want to use an area to give a memento. And then string as function, this could be whatever you want. Just to make it easy, I'm just going to call it event quest. So whenever the player collides with the area called area memento, it's going to call the function called event quest, and by that it means it's gonna execute the block that is associated with event quest, which it's pretty much like this, except this one is pick up lantern. We're going to make another one that is called event quest, and it's going to be ran just like this one whenever we collide with it. And delete on collide, I'm going to set to true. This means it only happens once, and after that it will not happen again. And else states is like whenever it's going to happen when you enter the area or leave the area. So if you put it to 1, it's going to happen when you enter the area. In this case, it's not really that important, so I'm just going to quickly do that. And also, I forgot to save the map, so I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to save this file, or I just have a habit of doing that. Anyways, you want to go on the callback syntax right here of the function that you just used. And you want to copy the bold line, and you want to paste it somewhere in your code. Just make sure it's not within any other block. And then you replace my function with whatever you put up there. Event, what was it called? Event quest. That's what I wrote, event quest. And then we're going to do open and closing block just like before. And just I'm going to duplicate this quest real quick and paste it in right there. The name of this is going to be, let's see, area. I'm just going to call it area, and the text that is going to be written down in your note is going to be the one associated with the it's going to be the text associated with enter area. So it's going to be this text that's going to appear as long as this text is put in the function enter area right there. And that is the area memento added, and then there's just the door thing left. So let's just quickly do that before we do anything more. Click the door, go on entity, and there is a player interact callback. So I'm just going to do an auto remove callback check. This makes it happens only once, so it's not like you click the door a lot of times you get a lot of mementos, even though I don't think that works with the same name memento. But anyways, okay, so inside here, once again, you just put whatever you want. So I'm just going to put touch door and press enter, and I'm going to save the map. And now it's going to, as with these, it's going to call the function called touch door as soon as you touch the door. And that is because it is on the player interact callback. So whenever the player is interacting with this entity, it's going to call this function. And the required parameters for that, if you, let's see, just search up again, interact, interact. Why can I not find it? Set entity player interact callback. Here it is. Alright. This one is the exact same as this one, if you didn't know already by now. But it does have the parameters that we need for this function to work. So you copy the bold line and you paste it in your code. String and in as entity are the only parameters actually. So then we replace my function with what we put in the editor, touch door in my case. And then we're going to open and close the block once again, or separate blocks every time. But we're going to add another quest in this block, and this time it's going to be door, or it's going to be touch door. I believe I called it touch door, if that's what I called it in the extra line file. Yeah, I called it touch door right here. So as long as touch door matches whatever is inside here, then it's going to call the correct one. And these ones, these aren't really used directly right away. They're just used whenever you want to remove the quest. So if you go to add quest again, just below it is a function called complete quest, which will pretty much remove it from your journal. And yeah, so now I'm going to save this, and I'm going to make sure this is also saved, and then let's run the game and see what happens. Alright, here we are in the level, and as you can hopefully see, well, recognize everything. Here's the door that's going to give us a memento. Here's an area that is invisible, but it's going to give us a memento when we enter. And then there's a lantern over here. So let's see if it works. Pick up the lantern. Down in the corner is a little journal icon. So if you press M, it says, I picked up the lantern. Good. And now if we enter this area, it adds another one. I entered the area. And then there's the door here. Touch. The door requires a key. And what a coincidence, there's a key right here that we can use. Yeah, that's something different though. But yeah, so the mementos have now been added. Yeah, I removed that thing. The mementos have now been added, and if you still want to find out how to make it only appear before you unlock the door and not, then let's just add a small check for that. But if you're not interested in that, then I guess you just then yeah, that we're pretty much done. But I'm gonna add that before I end the video. Alright, so there are several ways to do this, but I'm just going to do a very simple one, although it will require us to do something with the function that was already in here before the tutorial. So if you haven't seen the video where I actually make this, then it might be a little confusing. Hopefully you can hang on though. I'm just going to add a small little variable, and I know that variables and if statements are kind of tricky for beginners to get the hang of, but they aren't that hard to understand eventually. Just be sure to use them a lot, and you will eventually get the hang of it. If you never use them, you're not going to be able to learn it, of course. So, but what I'm just going to do, I'm going to add a simple variable, and a variable, I'm just going to say that it's just going to tick. It's going to be a little tick. It's like a switch if it's on or off, and if the switch is on, then it's going to add or if the switch is on, it's going to ignore adding the quest, and if the switch is off, then it's going to add the thing. So that's, I guess, somewhat of an illustration. I'm going to search up, well, it's actually at the top. I don't need to search it. Way at the top here, under General. No, it's not under General, it's under Variables. Set local var int. This sets a variable that you can use in this map only, and the int part, don't worry about that, that's just a data type. I don't need to care about that. I'm going to add it right next to this function, which this is when the door is unlocked using the key. So I'm just going to add it right here. It adds a small check to the game. This is going to be the name of the variable. I'm just going to call it check, and this is the value. I'm going to put it to 1. It doesn't actually matter as long as it's not 0. Just put it to whatever. I usually just put it to 1 though, because like 1 and 0, it's like 0 is off, 1 is on. It's easy to remember that way. So let's actually call it switch, just to illustrate it a bit. I typed that wrong. Switch, there we go. So let's see, the switch is now in the on position, and yeah, so pretty much if you gotta think a little, because not all of this is done from top to bottom. It's just it's jumping back and forth. The on start is always done at the beginning. The other ones are only done when they're called. So just gotta make sure that you know when this is called and when this is called. So this is called when you use the key on the door. This is called when you touch the door. So if you use the key on the door before touching the door, then it's going to switch on this thing that will disable the quest. But if you touch the door before, then you will of course get the quest. Yeah, I'm going to do here. So now that we added the switch variable, I'm going to do an if statement right here. You just type if, open and closing parentheses, and inside there we do another one, which is right next to here, get local var int, and this will just fetch the result of whatever is up here. Just gotta make sure the name is the same. Switch. And then we're gonna do double equal signs, which it's just comparing. Let's go. And if the switch is 1, or actually if the switch is 0, then I'm gonna add a block. It's a sub block of the actual thingy here, like that. If the switch is 0, pretty much if this has not happened yet, add the quest. That's I know it sounds a little hard to understand, but It's kind of hard to explain too if you don't know, because I feel like I'm explaining this in a bad way, because if you don't understand this, then I don't know if I even could explain it, because you gotta pretty much get used to it. But anyways, pretty much if this has not happened before this, it's going to add the quest. But if this happens, then this switch has been flicked, and it is no longer equals to 0, and it will add the quest. I mean, it will not add the quest because it's no longer 0. So yeah. Whew, that was a handful. I'm gonna go back to add quests because there's a complete quest right here, and I'm just gonna complete the quest. So whenever you use the key on the door, if this quest is already added, then it's going to be completed, so it's going to be removed. This just I'm not sure exactly why this has the name and entry, but the first part has to be the same as the internal name of the quest, which is door in my case. The other one, I'm not sure why the hell this is here. Let's just write touch door, which it's the exact same as add quest, except it's complete instead of add. So you could actually just copy this line and edit this little part to say completed or complete, and then it will remove this quest once you use the key on the door. And now I'm getting a bit tired of this, so I'm gonna save all the files, and let's launch the game again. Alright, so here we are in the level once again, and I'm gonna do 2 runs through this level to show that it happens differently depending on what you do in the order. But first of all, again, this one gives you a memento. This one gives a memento as well. I guess it didn't show because I was already writing it. Let's touch the door first. Well, yeah, let's just touch the door. The door requires a key. Alright. Pick the key here. And, oh. And if we use this key on it, and go back to memento, it is no longer there, so it has been completed. And yeah, and I'm gonna relaunch the room. The room. And yeah, so if we were to pick up the key first and use it on the door, now the door is unlocked. If we touched it now without adding the check, it would give us the memento now because we haven't touched it yet. But it didn't give us anything because the switch was flicked when we used the key on the door. So therefore it has been disabled. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all you need to know about mementos. And yeah, there are of course a few things, like few questions, add quests. No, wait. If quest is added, as on the page, there are a few questions that you can use in like if statements. But they are more of actually making a workflow in your game more than actually using the mementos. So yeah, I think that's it. And if you found this video helpful, I really appreciate it if you would like the video. It motivates me to make more of these videos. Yeah, so I guess that's everything, and I will see you later then.